As a teacher, I've learned that without discipline, there can be no instruction. So it's always worth it to stop your class, set the limits in order that you can teach the rest of the day.
Every day when I come into the classroom, I have the choice of running the classroom or letting the kids to run the classroom. If I don't use corrective action, then the kids end up running the classroom. When I use corrective action, I set the boundaries and the limits for what's appropriate in the classroom.
It's really important to take corrective action every time a kid disrupts, because if you don't, then they don't learn. And you're trying to get them to learn not only the content, but also the habits of mind that are necessary to be a productive student. And so if they never learn that leaning and talking to my neighbor is a bad idea, then they're never gonna stop. They're just gonna keep doing it. And if you do it consistently and fairly across the board, then the kids will learn.
All right, you've given effective directions to your kids. You've narrated their behavior. And I know what some of you are thinking. They still aren't doing what I want. Then what do? Let me be straight. There's probably no area in classroom management that is more difficult for teachers than correcting inappropriate behavior. So, nagging, threatening, anger doesn't work. What does research show us effective teachers do? What effective teachers do is this. When kids are disrupting, all they simply do is repeat the directions the students were to follow in a calm, matter-of-fact manner, and if appropriate, give them a consequence the student has chosen.
How will we put 9 plus 9 into multiplication? Jalan.
9 times 2.
9 times 2. Excellent job, Jalan. Thank you for raising your hand. That is a class point, Jalan. Zenobia, that is warning number 2. The other two of you, that's warning number 1. Michaela, Chester, warning number 1. When I am up here, your eyes are on me and your voices are quiet. Got it?
Got it.
All right, moving on.
You then need to provide consequences immediately. You need to follow what I call the 10 to 20 second rule. What we know from research is this. When you give directions to students, I want you to work without talking. Go back to your seats. Take your books out. And students don't follow your directions. How many students are aware of this reality? All of them. They're all watching when you give directions if their classmates aren't following them and looking to see what are you going to do. Well, what we know is this. If after you give directions, within 10 seconds, you have not corrected the inappropriate behavior, the kids pick up, teacher's not on top of this. And then the behavior problems tend to spread throughout the classroom. And that's when you end up with a pack of students being disruptive. You need to calmly repeat your directions, immediately within 10 seconds, respond to the inappropriate behavior. Next guideline we find is this. Effective teachers consistently respond to the student's behavior. Consistency is a huge issue for teachers. What is consistency? Best way I can describe consistency is this. Consistency is like pregnancy. You are either consistent or you're not. Effective teachers provide a corrective action every single time a child chooses to disrupt. Why are they this consistent? They have learned that non-compliant, difficult students recognize if you are inconsistent, and they will constantly test you. Consistency is a foundation of taking corrective action. It's not that you're being mean. It's not that you're being hostile. It's not that you're being rigid. It's that you care enough to demand the best out of your students. Next aspect of taking corrective action. What I've learned from effective teachers is the importance they place on dealing with inappropriate talking in their classroom. A lot of teachers go, well, how can I just discipline a kid for talking? I mean, it's not like he's fighting. It's not like he's talking back to me. It's not like he's taunting his friends. It's not like he's tearing apart the classroom. But here's what I've learned from effective teachers. Again, 80% of the disruptive behavior you're dealing with is inappropriate talking. Also, talking is what I call a foundational behavior. At the beginning of the school year, what non-compliant, difficult students do first to test you is to talk inappropriately. And if they see they can get away with the inappropriate talking, then they begin to escalate. They begin to get out of their seat inappropriately. They begin provoking their friends. They begin becoming non-compliant. So what we've learned is this: to teach behavior at the beginning of the year, to turn around your classroom, you've got to eliminate inappropriate talking. Effective teachers have taught me this. After they have had to correct a student for disruptive behavior, what they always do is look for the first opportunity to catch that student being good. What we know from the research is this: to teach students appropriate behavior, you need to use 3 times as many positive statements to students as you make negative. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. So effective teachers, whenever they correct students, recognize I've got to find 3 opportunities to recognize as appropriate behavior to balance out the corrective action I just took.